Hello folks, and welcome to another Docmack production. Today what I'm going to talk about is wheels and tires. So I've recently upgraded my wheels from 16-inch wheels through to 18-inch wheels. So my previous wheels were 215 60 16. These wheels are 235 45 18s, and I'll get into more details on what those numbers mean, the 235, the 45 and the 18s. Now there's the other things to consider. You can see that it's a 5 lug nut setup, so there are 5 nuts going clockwise, and just because this is a 5 lug nut setup does not mean that it's going to fit any vehicle with 5 lug nuts, and that's something you're going to be concerned about, and that's called PCD, which I'll get into more details. The second thing you need to worry about is your center ball, which makes the wheel sit right in the center. There's something which is called Lugcentric and Hub-centric. So I'll get into more details when I show you the back of my older wheels so that you can see. The other thing to consider is your offset, which seriously affects your car in how it turns around corners and the geometry of the vehicle as well. So in a nutshell, an offset is basically how far the wheel sits in or out of your vehicle, and even 5mm can make such a huge difference. The other thing I'm going to talk about as well is your back spacing, which shows you how much back spacing you had past your offset. So your offset basically is more towards the front facing you, and your back spacing is behind that offset. So I'm going to get into more details on that one. The rims are 8Js, which means that they're 8-inch wide, but that doesn't mean that if you measure the rim from tip to tip that they're 8 inches. So typically they're about 1 inch more. So this is about a 9-inch rim. The 8 inches is from the bead to the bead. So I'm going to go and grab my other tire and wheel, and I'm going to show you the differences between this and the other wheel and what you should consider when you're upgrading your wheels. I would suggest watching the whole video before you actually make a decision on upgrading your wheels. It will pay a lot, and I can tell you, I do know quite a bit about wheels, and I have learned quite a bit ever since getting these wheels. So it does pay to take a look at this. Alright folks, so this is my older wheel and this is the newer wheel. As you can see, this is a 235 45 18, and this is a 215 60 16. What this number means is the 235 is the width of the tire. So like this one is a 215, 215mm. Next, the 60 or the 45 on this tire means that it's 60%, the sidewall is 60% the height of the width of the 215. So if you go 215mm times 0.65, you'll get the height of this tire here. This is the sidewall height. So if you look at this one and you look at 45%, so because this is 235 45 18, so you're concentrating on the 45 number. So this means that the height of the sidewall is 45% of the width of the tire, which is 235mm. So if you go 235mm times 0.65, you'll get the height of your sidewall. That's what this number means. And as you know, the 235 45, the 18 means that it's 18 inches from one end to the other end, from this bit to this bit, which is where the rims fit in. The same goes for this wheel as well. So 16 inches from here to here. Alright, the other thing to consider when you're buying tires, especially if it's second hand, is the age of the tires. So if I look around here, if you look here, there are numbers here. So the first two numbers corresponds to the week that the tire is made, and the second two numbers is the year that the tire is made. So in this case, I can't really see it well, but it says 21st week of 2018, so 21/18. That is the age of the tire here. All right, so the next thing we're going to go into, I'll just get a bit of my list here. Okay, so we're going to go into the back spacing of the wheel. So the width of this wheel, the rim only, is 8J, which means that it's 8 inches wide. Now, just because it's 8J, that does not mean that it's fully 8 inches in the true width. The 8 inches is from the bead to the bead. And I'll show you what that means in a while. I'll get a photograph for you. So the true width usually is approximately about 1 inch more than what it's supposed to be. So we have got 8J here, which is 8 inch. So I'll add another inch, which becomes 9 inches wide. This is a 6.5J. So I'll add approximately another inch. So the true width of the rim is 7.5 inches. All right. So as you can see on the back of the rim here, you can see it says 6.5G right here. All right, so that's just showing you how wide the rim is from the bead to the bead, not the actual size of it itself. All right, so now that we'll take this rim for example, because I can show you the back as well. The true width of this rim is 6.5G plus 1 inch, so you'll have 7.5 inches of the width. Okay, so now we're going to go into the offset, and that is measured here. All right, so let's say if you measured it from the ground to here, and you are getting, because the tires, so you get 7.5 inches. That's your true width. So you go 7.5 inches, and an offset is how far your tire sits in, meaning here, or out of your guard. So try to visualize this line here. So this is your dead center of the wheel, and this is your zero offset. So now on front wheel drive cars nowadays, it's more positive offset, which means it moves front. The offset is right here. It's where your wheel lug nuts go into. All right, so the further out it goes, it becomes positive. Further behind this line here, moving inwards, as you can see, this is the front of the rim. Inwards is a negative offset. This way, towards the outside of the car, is positive. So you've got your 7.5 inches, and then you've got your medium, which is 3.75 inches. And what you need to do next to find your offset is measure from the face of the hub here to the top of the wheel. All right. So this is what's called your back spacing, which means that your lug nuts bolt upwards like this, and any back spacing is what you have past facing inside the vehicle. So if you look at your dead center, which is 3.75, and whatever the back spacing is, if you take the back spacing minus the 3.75 inches, you'll get your offset in inches, and you can convert that into millimeters. I will do a visual representation by showing you some calculations in a while. All right, so that's your back spacing and that's your offset. What else did I have in mind? All right, the other thing as well is there is 5 lug nuts. Yeah, so you can see it's 5 lug nuts and 5 lug nuts. But just because it's 5 lug nuts, that does not mean that they will fit any vehicle with 5 lug nuts. So what you need to look out for is the PCD. It's what you refer to as a PCD. So this PCD is 5, which you have got 5 lug nuts here, times 114.3, which means from the center of this hole to the center of the next hole is 114.3 millimeters. And that is how you check it. And that means that the difference between the nuts will bolt onto your actual hub nicely. That is the other thing you need to look at. Another thing also is the center ball. So the center ball is on the back of the wheel here, right? How does the center ball affect your vehicle? So if you, like this center ball is 60.1 millimeters. So if you measure it from here to here, this full inner circle is 60.1 millimeters. And that's general for most Toyotas. If let's say you have a Mazda, it could be about 67 millimeters. This one will not fit. Yet a Mazda wheel can probably fit a Toyota if you use what's called a hub ring. So the difference between the larger size, let's say the Mazda one, which is I think 67 millimeters, you can use a hub ring which covers the difference. All right, so try to think of a circle like this, and your wheel goes in like this. If your hub center ball is too large, it's not sitting dead center, and your vehicle will become lug-centric. Lug-centric means that it is the weight of the vehicle and the wheels is only supported by the lug nuts. And you will notice some vibrations as you go on the highway or even at lower speeds because it is not dead center. So this center ball is meant to guide your wheels right in the center. So if you have, let's say, 60.1 millimeters, or you have a larger one and you use a hub ring to 60.1 mm, then you'll be hub centric, which means it is holding through the hub and is properly holding the wheel. So there won't be any play in the wheel. If you do not do that, and let's say your center ball is larger than what your vehicle takes, then it's going to be lug-centric, which means this wheel nuts are just going to hold it and you'll feel vibration. Now, if let's say I wanted to get one for my Toyota and this 60.1 millimeters was lower, let's say 58, this is an example, then the car wheel shops can actually do some machining to take it up to 60.1 millimeters, and then your vehicle wheels will fit. All right, let's see what I have. What else did I have in mind? All right, so the other thing I wanted to also say is if you have a positive offset, that will come towards the front of the car. So you can see that it's more of a flat surface, not a dished surface. So cars where the 5 lug nuts are more inside and you got more like a dish, those are more lower offsets or more towards the negative or 0. All right, so now one would think that just because it comes forward, your wheels would come out, but it's just the opposite. So the further positive the wheel offset is, the further in is going to be. Let's say if the vehicle fender was here and your vehicle new rim will be more of a positive offset, the fender will come here. If you've got negative offset, further negative, then the wheel sits, let's say your fender was here and you got something lower or negative, your fender will sit here. Your wheels will actually stick out further. All right, so if your wheels do stick out further, then what you'll need is fender flares. Fender flares are basically things you just bolt on right over here, and it's illegal to have wheels that will come out past your fender. So that's why in some states they allow fender flares, which means that your wheel, as it's spinning, it will not come out of the fender. So you need to check your local regulations for that one. And that is pretty much my guide on buying the wheels. So what I can do also is I'll include a short video after this to show you the calculations of how I got what I got, and also where you can find your PCD, your offset, your center bore, and the width of your rim. I'll include the website and I'll show you some samples. Alright folks, so this is my calculation here. So I've got 215, 60, 16 with the PCD of 5 times 114.3 and the offset of 45. Now the rims are a 6.5J and I've added 1 inch, and that gives us 7.5 inches. So before I go further, I'll let you know why I'm doing this. So I'm trying to find what the difference is between the back spacing of the original wheels versus the back spacing of the new wheels, and that will show me how much closer it sits to my control arm in the front. So that's 3.75 inches, which is the zero offset, which is right in the dead center of the rim. Now I know that the offset is 45 millimeters, which gives me 1.77 inches, and if you add the two together it becomes 5.52 inches of back spacing. So that is the first rim. The second one, which are my new ones, are 235, 45, 18, PCD 5 times 104.3, and an offset of 50. I'll get into more details on how I knew these are 50 offsets. So 8J is the marked dimensions on the rim. Add another 9 inch to find the true width, and I put a zero offset, which is half of 9, which is 4.5. Now I do 4.5 inches plus 1.96 inches, as that is 50 millimeters is 1.96 inches. So if I add the two together, that gives me 6.46 inches. Alright, so if I go 6.46 minus 5.52 inches, that gives me approximately 0.96 of an inch. So as you can see here, my total calculation would indicate that is 24.13 millimeters closer to the inside than the original rim itself. Alright, so now I'm on wheel-size.com, and over here I'll be able to advise how you can check your alloy wheel fitment, as different cars have different PCDs, offset, and center bores as well. So most Toyotas will have a center bore of 60.1 millimeters. But just as an example, I'll show you how I found my original rims measurements and my new rims measurements. So if you go to alloy wheel fitment and you click on makes, so mine is a Toyota, so I'll click on T, Toyota, and it's an Orion, which is also a Camry 3.5 liter, and I've got a 2014 model. So if you scroll down here, you can see that the original wheel size is 215/60/16, and the original rim size is 6.5G × 16, and the offset of 45. PCD is 5 × 114.3. Now it does show, if you want to go up an inch, what your measurements have to be as well. Okay, so that's my older car. So now if I go to Toyota up here and I select Toyota Camry, because my new wheels came from 2019 Toyota Camry, I'll click on 2019, and if I scroll down, you can see here it's 235/45/18, and that 94V is a speed rating of the tire. So as you can see, it's a 8J, 18 inch, and the offset, which is marked as ET, is 50. That's my PCD, 5 × 114.3, and that is how I found out what the measurements of my new wheels are. That's just a bit more information here, and as you can see, it's a center bore of 60.1 millimeters. So if I go back on to the wheel size area and I click on tire calculator, so these are rim and tire size calculators and custom offsets. So if I click on the rim width of 215/60/16, and my original rim width was 6.5 and my offset was 45. Now my new ones are 235/45 and they're 18 inch. The rim width is 8. You must always put what the original one is, not the true width. This is from the bead to the bead is 6.5 inches, and the bead to the bead of my new wheels are 8 inches. The offset here for my new ones are going to be 50. So I'm just going to scroll to 50. As you can see, it shows you how close your fender, your wheel well, and your suspension is on both of these as well. So if I scroll down here, this is where the information gets extra useful. So this was my original setup, 215/60/16, and it'll show you as you go to larger wheels what you'll need. So this is the width of the tires, and this is the inch of the rims. Alright, so if you look at mine here, mine is 50, so I can't find exactly 50. So if I look at 235/45/18, ET44, it's plus 0.7%. So looking at this one, mine will be about 1% larger, so the overall circumference is not too bad. You don't want to go over 1 centimeter larger, 1% larger or 1% smaller. Alright, so if I scroll down right to the bottom of here, you can see the rim diameter goes from 406 to 457, and you can see all these bits here. You can see the original rim width was 165, now it's 203 millimeters. This is important as well. So this is the back spacing, so it's 128 millimeters plus the original, and the new one is 152 millimeters. So the difference between the two of them is 24 millimeters, and if you look at my calculation right here, I said they're 24.13 millimeters closer. So my rough estimates are almost very accurate. Okay, so if I scroll down a little further, you can see here in terms of the suspension, and this is assuming that you haven't modified your car in any other way, the tire will sit 15 millimeters closer to the suspension components, and the rim is 24 millimeters closer to the suspension components. So you need to make sure that you have enough room for that. If not, you would need to consider a lower offset. Um, Over here, they are talking about spaces. So if at all your wheels are pointing too much to the inside of your fender, then what you can do is you can use wheel spacers, which sits over the hub. And let me just show you what wheel spacers are. So I'm going to go to eBay, and I'll go here, 5 times 114.3, and I'll go 5 mm spacers. Alright, so these are what hub-centric wheel spacers look like. As you can see, that these sit on top of the back of your wheel hub, and that will give you an additional 5 millimeters to stick out. So your offset becomes 5 millimeters less as well. I'll just give you a better view of how this looks. Alright, so in this case it's 15 millimeters, but I was talking about the 5 millimeters, just as a representation of how they look. There you go. Alright, so I'm just going to close that one. Alright, so the wheel well will be an extra 2 millimeters, so there's not much difference. Alright folks, so as you can see, this site has got quite a lot of useful information, but you need to know exactly what you're looking for. So I'm sure this video will definitely help you, and my little calculations here will definitely help you a lot as well. Alright, so the other way also to know the offset and the PCD is it is sometimes stamped on the rim here. So like if I look at it here, I'm gonna put the wheel down. I'm gonna look for, that's the number there, 45. So that's the offset of 45 millimeters. Sometimes it'll say 114.3, which would mean that's the PCD. You don't need to know that 5 because you already know that there's 5 lug nuts here. Alright folks, so if you've got any questions, you can ask me down in the comments below. And I have got a lot of other exciting car videos, ranging from DIY engine filter replacements, spark plug replacements, and all car related exciting stuff. Alright, so please do consider subscribing because I'll post as many videos as I can, and we can establish a car community here. Alright, and don't forget to give it a thumbs up if this has been helpful. Alright folks, thanks and have a great day.